and he'll give it 1% of his ability.
What? 1%? Like this? Hey, he looks like a elusive fighter. Hey, haven't we had him on before about 10 years?
Let's go. Welcome to the Cage Nation. Welcome to the Cage Nation. Welcome to the Cage Nation. No one can drop us, no one can stop us. We are the warriors, no one can top us, no one can rock us. We are the warriors, no one can drop us, no one can stop us. We are the warriors, no one can top us, no one can rock us. We are the warriors.
Welcome to another edition of Cage Nation, episode 10.
We're in double digits right now.
The X, right there.
Yeah. Drewski, I think I can say for everyone who's involved with the production of Cage Nation TV, how much fun we had watching Gladiators of the Cage on Brute Sports. That was amazing.
Monday night was made for MMA as far as I'm concerned, and that was just fantastic. Watching those bouts all over again.
Whole new perspectives.
2 solid hours of some excellent MMA action. If you missed it, you missed out.
Well, I gotta tell you, if you didn't go to Stage A to see it and you didn't watch it on Brute Sports, it sucks to be you.
But you've got another chance to catch Gladiators of the Cage, September 7th in Pittsburgh.
Yes. And Charlie the Madman Gathers is going to fight on that card.
Yes, he is.
Paul P-Mac McAleer is bringing the P-Mac-Maniacs all the way to Gladiators of the Cage. It's stacking up to be a huge card, of course. We will do our best to bring you all the information about that card like we do.
Right.
You know, that's what we do. We research cards and we tell you guys why you should watch it. I don't think we let anybody down with Gladiators of the Cage.
One of us will be on site.
Yes.
Covering.
One of us. And you never know. We might end up digging up another guest correspondent, someone who's, you know, camera ready.
Yeah, somebody who's done this before at some point. Somebody...
Really?
Not him.
I don't know. We haven't decided yet. But September 7th, it's going to be a great night. Coming up today's episode, we've got the newsreel. We've got the Cameron perspective on why Bellator putting on high-profile fights is a good thing.
Good thing.
And then we're also going to get our hands dirty, Drew. Dr. Albert and Dr. Drew, we're getting into the autopsy of what we could have done to save some of the defunct MMA promotions.
Do you have gloves?
No. Yeah. All that and more coming up right here on Cage Nation TV. Don't go anywhere. The newsreel is next.
Yeah.
It's time for another edition of Cage Nation TV Newsreel, spanning the globe to bring you the latest news in MMA.
Ken Shamrock, Dan the Beast Severn, Brock Lesnar, King Mo, Quentin Rampage Jackson, and Brett Showtime Shoenfelt. What do all those names have in common? MMA superstars who have become wrestling superstars. Local MMA contender Brett Showtime Shoenfelt made his professional wrestling debut appearance for Big Time Wrestling at their August 10th event at the Joppa Mosque. Showtime did what he does best, and that's promote events. Shoenfelt not only made a promotional appearance, but he was also involved in a program with professional wrestler The Patriot. And if that wasn't big enough, WWE Hall of Famer the Nature Boy Ric Flair was at the event as well. The Joppa Mosque is really living up to its reputation as the epicenter of combat sports in the Logan Valley. The People's Warrior Josh Burkman is to get a title fight at World Series of Fighting's October card. Josh Burkman has been taking the World Series of Fighting by storm as of late, racking up impressive wins and really becoming the franchise main eventer. Burkman spoke to SureDog.com about his World Series of Fighting prospects and dropped the bomb that he would be fighting for the promotion's welterweight crown. This will be the first championship contested for the promotion. While no opponent has been named, there is speculation that it'll be the winner of the George Santiago-Gerald Harris fight. More on this as it develops. Well, kicks to a grounded opponent are illegal in MMA, but it's not stopping the world from kicking Tito Ortiz while he's down. The Huntington Beach bad boy has been getting the business end of the stick lately. Ortiz's financial problems have come under public scrutiny, and his signing with the Bellator promotion and his cross-promotion with Impact Wrestling have been further evidence that the former UFC light heavyweight champion is broke. Ortiz's Big Bear training facility that he purchased from Oscar de la Hoya is up for sale. Ortiz's Big Bear camp was a training staple for fellow Team Punishment athletes and friends of Ortiz. The compound has 2 homes, a 3-car garage, 5 bathrooms, and Ortiz is even including the cage as incentive. The real kicker here? All of that is on the market for a meager $1.7 million. No word if Ortiz will be using the Big Bear facility in his pay-per-view return against Quinton Rampage Jackson. And look, up in the sky, it's real-life superhero Phoenix Jones returning to mixed martial arts. Ben Flat Top Fodor is coming out of semi-retirement to compete at Cage Combat Warriors in Kent, Washington against Zach Zahn. Fodor gained public adulation for being the real-life superhero Phoenix Jones trying to clean up crime in his neighborhood. As Phoenix Jones, he would patrol the streets, call 911 when crimes were spotted, and even used his MMA training to apply force where applicable. We at Cage Nation TV are happy to see Ben Fodor hang up the cape and lace up the gloves.
Since the dawn of furniture, there has been only one way to keep an infant from rolling off a couch or chair, and that is unsafely cramming cushions against the piece of furniture and hoping the baby doesn't work him or herself under them. Until now. Introducing the Zoster. The Zoster is a revolutionary infant safety product that easily wraps around a cushion to keep your baby from rolling off a couch or chair. The Zoster is made with a fleece material complete with a waterproof underneath to keep various liquids away from your upholstery. The Zoster is currently available in solid colors and pattern designs. You can order the Zoster online today at thezoster.com.
Welcome back to Cage Nation TV. Albert, it is time, apparently, to, well, for you older viewers, we're playing Quincy. For you younger viewers, it's CSI. And for those of you that don't watch TV, you have no idea what the hell we're talking about. It's time for the MMA Autopsy.
I think the big news coming out of this week was Tito Ortiz, Rampage Jackson, they're going to fight on a Bellator pay-per-view.
Oh, I thought you were going to mention the fact that they are both in TNA wrestling now.
Okay, before we get into the MMA Autopsy,
let's do this.
Yeah, okay. What I like about Rampage Jackson and even Kimbo is that they said, I'm getting into TNA wrestling because I've always wanted to be a professional wrestler. That's important. Mm-hmm. Professional wrestling is a beautiful sport. It has a lot of athleticism, and not just any Joe Schmo can walk into it and say, you know what, I'm going to be Hulk Hogan. It doesn't happen that way.
Right.
And Rampage and Kimbo have always respected the sport, and that's the key phrase there. They've respected the sport.
Mm-hmm.
So on TNA Impact, Rampage Jackson was with the Main Event Mafia. For you MMA guys, it's a lot of the guys who have been bigger, more prominent names in professional wrestling.
Let's talk Kurt Angle, Sting, names you might remember from the past.
Right. Rampage Jackson's involved with that, and because he respects the sport, I'm okay with him being in there. I think you follow TNA more than I do.
I don't really follow TNA.
There was the August 1st warning, whatever that means.
Yeah, it was a series of videos that was sent by TNA alluding to an individual who had never been in TNA before, and through process of elimination, they were going through Chris Jericho, I think several other professional wrestlers that are currently wrestling for WWE. The mystery person was revealed last Thursday on TNA Impact, which happens to be on Spike, the same network as Bellator. Wrap your head around that. And it turned out to be none other than Tito Ortiz.
The Huntington Beach bad boy was this mystery guy. Tito Ortiz is a very accomplished wrestler. He was a high school champion. He might have even been in college wrestling. I'm not sure.
Right.
But Tito Ortiz has never come out and said, hey, you know what? I want to be a professional wrestler. So I don't believe that respect is there. And that's my problem with Tito Ortiz being involved in TNA wrestling. That TNA wrestling is really being used as a platform to kind of hype Rampage and Tito fighting on the Bellator pay-per-view. TV's Mike Edwards kind of had like a rant about that, and I agree with everything Mike said. These two guys, there's a place and time for Rampage and Tito to be hyping their fight. Fightmaster, the Bellator Fight Series, that's a great place for it.
Yeah.
On the Bellator tournament shows, that's a great place for it too. A lot of folks who tune into TNA wrestling may not necessarily be into Bellator or MMA, and it's not really our place to be stepping on their program and what they enjoy to say, hey, you should watch Tito Ortiz and Rampage Jackson fight.
It's just... It's the nature of the advertising beast. It's the nature of cross-promotion.
Right.
And that's essentially what it is. Bellator is getting together with TNA to try to bring people from, bring wrestling fans over to watch MMA, to help hype their product, to help bring them over and maybe experience something new, and, something they may like. Now, are they going about it the right way?
Well, let's talk about the right way and wrong way to really promote MMA and professional wrestling. Ken Shamrock. Genius way to cross-promote the two. I mean...
Right.
That was beautiful. Tank Abbott in WCW? Probably not.
No, not really.
No. Goldberg was supposed to be hyped as like a shoot fighter.
Right.
WCW was going to show WWE how to do it properly. And while he didn't come across like an MMA guy, he did come across as a very, very predominant figure.
Right.
Tito Ortiz in Impact Wrestling. No, I don't like it.
Well, I'm not a big fan of it either. I mean, but the Spike TV is going to do what they want to do, and I'm sure they're 100% behind this whole thing, obviously, because both TNA and Bellator are on their network, and we wish both organizations nothing but success. Our good friend Jessica Evil Eye is going back to Bellator. She's a Bellator fighter.
Yeah.
We like I said, we wish both promotions great success. But as far as this Tito Ortiz, Quentin Rampage Jackson thing, I don't know that this is the best way to promote it.
Well, let's think about it this way: if on Bellator, we're watching UFC with Weidman versus Silva,
right?
And all of a sudden, John Cena comes out to the octagon and starts hyping his fight. We'd all go ballistic. We would riot essentially. And that's what we're doing to them, and I don't agree with it. So that's my piece on that one. I'm glad to get it off my chest, and I want to thank TV's Mike Edwards for really showing me how the professional wrestling community thought about that.
They also have a show coming up, TV's Mike Edwards and the X-Man, the Wrestling Rundown. That'll be coming to YouTube very soon, and odds are we'll wind up cross-promoting for them. Hopefully they will do programming. Hopefully they will do the same for us. Hopefully. Anyways, all right. Are we ready with the autopsy now?
Let's get our hands dirty, Drew.
Hang on, I gotta step off the soapbox here. All right, this is essentially we're what are we doing here? Let me check my smartphone in the script because we're going green, and that's important for the environment.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking about defunct MMA promotions, and Albert's gonna offer his opinion on what could have happened to maybe resurrect them somehow, or what could have saved them.
Right. And again, we're getting into this because the big news was Bellator's going to pay-per-view.
Right.
So now Bellator's really positioned themselves to slingshot into the number 2 spot and are trying to take on the UFC in the UFC's ground. I mean, no one does MMA on pay-per-view better than the UFC. Others have tried, and others have been buried headfirst in the sand. So now Bellator's trying. So to kind of show our support to that, we're going to talk about some other organizations who tried to compete with the UFC. They're no longer around. We're going to talk about what they could have done differently.
All right. Let's start off with International Fight League, the IFL.
You know what really this really chaps me? When people say that MMA is not a team sport. I think that is absolute garbage. How many fight teams don't we know personally? We know the Dignan Brumbaugh fight team.
Right.
Team AMS out of Pittsburgh. Brazen Boxing, where Jessica Richmond fought out of.
Right.
We know all these teams, and MMA is all about your support system, who you train with, who you fight, who's your better sparring partner. That is what really makes fighters good. So
exactly.
To take MMA and make it a team sport, which high school and collegiate wrestling, it's not the Penn State Wrestling individuals, it's the Penn State Wrestling team.
Right.
So that's really where I disagree with a lot of folks. I think the IFL was a great concept, and I think there should have been more of it. And everyone I've talked to probably in our interviews have asked, hey, what could have been done differently about the IFL? Essentially, I think they should have stuck to the team format. It should have been the Los Angeles Anacondas, the New York Pitbulls, the Reno Lions. They should have stuck to that. They shouldn't have gone to it's Team Tompkins versus Jackson's MMA.
Right.
I think they should have stuck to marketable teams. It'd be like the Warren Football Club instead of being the Pittsburgh Steelers, something like that. They should have stuck to identifiable brands.
Right.
Right. So
how do you bring my hometown into this?
Well, so you can relate to it.
Oh, okay.
So, instead of being like the Warren Football Club, it'd be like, the Philadelphia Eagles or the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Sure.
Identifiable brands.
Or how about the Warren Dragons, which is an identifiable brand back home?
Right.
Right.
Right. But I mean, it would have been like some football club, like a
No, I hear
bunch
you.
of guys get together.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyways, enough about football.
Enough about
Football, pro wrestling. What the hell? This is an MMA show, for God's sake.
So the IFL was doing great things. They were going to get these guys health insurance. They're going to give them incentives to compete, incentives to stay where they are. I think they should have stuck with that. IFL only lasted 2 years, and in that second year, they're kind of fumbling everything. They can't catch all their.
Again, what's with the football references?
It's Penn State football season coming up soon. That's where all the references are coming. Everywhere I go around town, I'm seeing it. People are excited. I just want to watch people punch each other in the face. Like I like the IFL, they did that.
Right.
Okay. So towards the end of the IFL, they really kind of dropped the ball because they stepped away from their core competency, and I think that is what really killed the IFL, was getting away from what they knew and loved.
All right. What about Elite XC?
You remember what Ken said about Kimbo Slice? What he would have done if he had been able to fight Kimbo?
I believe I remember that.
Yeah. Ken really hit the nail on the head, too, was that the Elite XC built all of their product, all of their fights on Kimbo Slice. And when Seth Petruzzelli knocked Kimbo Slice out in that 17 seconds, everything the Elite XC had built had fallen and started to burn.
Yeah.
The Elite XC actually went out and started buying other promotions like Icon Sport. They bought King of the Cage. King of the Cage was actually one of the only promotions able to separate themselves from Elite XC and not go under. So great job to Terry for doing that. But if the Elite XC was going to compete with the UFC like they did, they had production value. They had a great cable deal with Showtime. They had everything in place. They should have just kind of spread out their star power a little bit, as opposed to Kimbo Slice being their main guy. Because, I mean, it was bound to happen. He was going to get knocked out eventually. Not that he was a bad fighter. He was a good street fighter, but street fight doesn't always translate in MMA well. So, I mean, it was bound to happen, and Elite XC.
All right. World Fighting Alliance. Which you're greatly amused by.
Do you know what the WFA's tagline was? They held 4 events. The first 3, the WFA's taglines were "Where Nightclub Meets Fight Club." Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. 1. No one wants to associate MMA with Fight Club, especially at the infant stages of the sport.
I don't know that anybody wants to associate MMA with a nightclub either.
Gets better. Oh, it gets better. Fight Club. Fight Club really kind of sounds like you and I are going into someone's basement and we're going to punch each other in the face repeatedly.
Or it just sounds like something we just don't talk about.
Right. I just broke rules 1 and 2, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Okay, I'm going to pay for that later. But anyway, it sounds like kind of like an underground thing. Like, it's underground, bare knuckle, there are no rules, people are going to get hurt.
Right.
Which we don't like. That's not good for the sport whatsoever. Where Fight Club meets nightclub.
When I think of nightclub, I think of walks of shame at like 6 a.m.
Okay.
I think of just loud rave music. I think of people doing drinking to excess, and chicks in really, really short skirts who'll be doing a walk of shame at 6 a.m. Kind of funny how it all goes back to the walk of shame.
The first 3 WFAs had all of that. It was
really bad techno music.
The worst techno music. Breakdancers in the middle of a fight. Like rave music, like lighting shows and everything. It was, in concept, it was like, hey, this will be fun, it'll draw a lot more people, but it just came out looking silly.
Breakdancers in the middle of a fight? That's like ring announcers announcing a 50-50 raffle in the middle of a bout. That's just stupid. You just don't do that.
You don't announce it.
We're not talking from experience or anything like that, but you just don't do that.
Right. So, the WFA really got their act together at WFA number 4.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the quality fights. Rampage Jackson was coming out of Pride closing down. Boss Ruben came out of retirement to fight Ruben Warpath Villarreal. Like, it was really, really quality fights. And, it was the king of the streets, which I'm not really okay with, streets being involved in that name.
Right.
But it was better than where nightclub meets Fight Club.
Yeah.
Right.
Or is it Fight Club meets nightclub?
I don't care.
Who the hell cares?
I don't care. So the King of the Streets was a good event, but then Uncle Dana and Zuva swooped in and they bought the WFA up right up. Now in the WFA they had some really good talent. They had Rich Franklin, I think, was one of their superstars. So if they were willing to put down the money on superstars, they should have done that right away. It should have been the World Fighting Alliance, really kind of focused on competition. Mm-hmm. Hey, this is our fight league. We got great talent. This is where we're spending our money, as opposed to people going to the hospital for doing E, which I don't think anyone ever went to the hospital from going to the WFA and doing E.
They've just gone to the hospital from kicking the hell out of
Well,
him.
you know, and all the lays probably triggered a seizure or two. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
So they should have focused on competition and quality athletes as opposed to nightclubs.
And drink lots of water.
Yes.
Lots and lots of water. That's, again, not talking from experience, but that's what I've been told you're supposed to do. And Ian. Anyways, moving on. Affliction.
The Affliction organization is culminated from a lot of turmoil. We see a lot of guys come into the octagon wearing Affliction shirts.
Yeah.
We see them at the Nittany Mall wearing Affliction shirts. Like, you know, it's...
I saw a picture recently of Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm wearing, I believe she was wearing an Affliction, kind of like a dress that was fashioned for her from an Affliction shirt.
Right, so
I'm not going to fault Lizzie because she's hot. She's an incredibly talented singer, but...
The point is, we recognize that Affliction was a very popular
We
brand
recognize
amongst
the
the
brand.
lifestyle. Right, okay. The Affliction was a very popular sponsor for the UFC until Tom A. from Affliction pissed Dana White off.
Yeah.
Do you know what happens when you piss Dana White off? You don't go to UFC. Sherdog.com, which is one of like the world's biggest MMA news providers, pissed Dana White off, and Dana White kept them from going from a UFC, which was free advertising and free marketing, but Dana White said absolutely not. So Affliction got a bunch of guys together who weren't too happy with Uncle Dana, and they're like, okay, we're going to put on this fight league. I mean, Fedor Emelianenko, Roy Nelson, you know, some really top guys, Josh Barnett. You guys were all associated with Affliction. What could they have done differently? Well, they could have been nice to Dana and not really wasted a whole lot of money trying to put on a fight promotion.
Right.
I really don't think Affliction was meant to be like a long-lasting fight promotion. I think it was meant to be like a, hey, we're going to showcase some guys and buy some Affliction shirts, which, I mean, you could have got involved with any other fight promotion instead of trying to do your own. So, good fights in theory, but I don't think they really should have been trying to promote fights.
All right, and last but certainly not least, Pride Fighting Championship. And this one breaks your heart, doesn't it?
Every day.
Yeah.
I will come home and I'll put on Fuel TV and I make Mrs. Cameron watch the best of Pride Fighting Championships just about every day. Pride...
Sure, that makes her real happy.
But Mrs. Cameron's a great woman, so she just grins and bears.
She's backstage.
Pride FC was the AFC to the NFL. Pride FC was, you know, the other baseball guys whenever the MLB was coming out. Pride FC was really number one. UFC was number two. Like, they were constantly battling for dominance. And it was awesome because we had Pride's champions. We had Fedor, we had Crow Cop, we had Dan Henderson. We had the UFC champions. We had Tito Ortiz, we had Rico Rodriguez, we had Chuck Liddell. Huge names, I mean, legends in their own right. And because they were two separate entities and they were huge, we all benefited because, I mean, there was some world-class fighting. I mean, that's where we got the Rampage Slam whenever he slammed Ricardo Arona. We had Kazushi Sakuraba taking on the Gracies over in the UFC. We had Matt Hughes getting choked out by Carlos Newton and accidentally slamming him into a knockout. I mean, there was this great stuff. Pride FC was said to have been really involved with the Yakuza.
Ooh, yeah, that's not good. That's like the Japanese mafia. I believe.
That is exactly what it is. Now, I don't know if there is involvement with the Yakuza. I don't know if there is a Yakuza. I cannot verify. I don't know.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, but they were getting involved in some stuff, some deals that were kind of mismanaging their assets, and Dream Stage Entertainment really Dream Stage Entertainment was to Pride as Zuffa is to the UFC. So they were kind of mismanaging assets and really got themselves in some dire straits financially. And whenever a big promotion gets in financial trouble, who comes along?
Uncle Dana.
Uncle Dana opened the pocketbook and bought up a lot of Pride stuff. Now here's the real heartbreaker of it all. We had potential for Super Bowl fights. Fedor versus, Andrei Arlovsky, Vanderlei Silva versus Chuck Liddell in their prime. And a lot of the guys in Pride said, you know what, I would rather sit on my contract than fight for Dana White, which in hindsight probably didn't do them or their careers much good. Yeah. But, there were a lot of hurt feelings, and we kind of really lost out on a lot of stuff. What could Pride have done differently?
What could they have done differently?
They could have hired a financial advisor that did not have ties to organized crime. Like, that's just common sense.
You don't even know if they exist.
I don't.
Okay.
I cannot verify if the Yakuza exists, but if you're gonna say, hey, can you manage my money for it? You know, I'm not gonna do it with the Don from The Godfather 2 or 3. I'm just not gonna do it.
Right.
Right. So probably better money management would have kept Pride going forever. Now here's the long and the short of it.
Long and the short.
Long and the short is, if Pride continued to exist, the UFC probably would not have. I mean, 2 big promotions like that, there's only so much gravity to share, and they would have both grown to such heights that one of them would have had to have died eventually. So if Pride would have succeeded, the UFC would not have.
All right, there you go. The gloves are off. We're leaving the autopsy room, and that's pretty much it for this autopsy type segment on the Cage Nation TV. We should do an autopsy on the MMA rundown. Think we should?
Perhaps someday.
I don't want to get my hands that dirty. Coming up is the Cameron Perspective. Stick around for that and more next on Cage Nation TV. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, MMA fans. Look, people, MMA fans. And we're wrestling guys on an MMA show. Holy moly. What's this world coming to? We want to take this time and thank Drew Shannon and Albert Cameron.
We do?
Yeah.
All right,
for allowing us a little bit of their time here on Cage Nation Television to promote a pro wrestling rundown. Do I have to do all the talking here?
Come on, guys. Show us a little bit of love. We're showing you some love. We know that they're a crossover fan, so catch us on our YouTube channel. What is it again, X?
YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Rundown.
Hope to see you there.
Welcome back to Cage Nation TV, and of course, congratulations to TV's Mike Edwards and the X-Men. They have returned a wrestling rundown coming to YouTube very, very soon, so be on the lookout for that. I'll be watching with great interest.
I'll be watching just because I think they're great guys, and I mean they're so talented at bringing together wrestling programming that I mean if you guys are one of those folks who watch wrestling and MMA, I mean you're getting it from all sides here. Like we're bringing it to you like nobody's business.
All right. Keep you posted on those guys, and best of luck to them, and great job getting the show together, and minus AON General Manager. How does that happen? I don't know. I'm going to go off set now. You do your thing.
Okay. Drew is pretty upset, but it's okay. He's a very emotional kind of person.
I don't want to talk about it!
We're going to need to get him an ice cream bar. The Cameron Perspective for this week is we're going to talk about Bellator, coming to you guys live with a pay-per-view. Tito Ortiz, the Huntington Beach Bad Boys, taking on Quentin Rampage Jackson in a light heavyweight showdown. Do you know why that's awesome? Because they're competing with the UFC. Bellator is priming themselves to be a big number 2, and that's huge for us, and I'll tell you why. UFC has been accused of having a monopoly, and I'm not going to go over my business management courses all over again to tell you guys why it is or it is not a monopoly. Bellator is getting primed. They're going to sign big fights. They're signing big fighters. So now Bellator is going to make some scratch doing pay-per-views. Hopefully. UFC makes some scratch. Both these guys are now going to have power to start buying or paying for big fights and big fighters. Who wins? We do. We get to watch big fights all the time. Bellator is already putting great fights on free TV, and that is what made the UFC huge in 2005 with The Ultimate Fighter. They were putting great fights on free TV. Bellator is doing that. They're getting some pay-per-view numbers in. So what's going to start happening is the fighters in the UFC are going to be like, hey, you know what, Uncle Dana, I'm going to go to Bellator. If I don't like your terms, I'm going to go to Bellator, and Bellator will actually have something to offer them. They'll have pay-per-view buys, they'll have pay-per-view opportunities. And Uncle Dana will have the countermatch. Guys are going to get paid more, and we're going to see fights. Albert Cameron wants to be in a spot where I've got the ability to watch one pay-per-view, and I want to be made to choose between Bellator and the UFC, because at that point, I got to start digging into these fights. I got to figure out which one's better for Albert Cameron to watch, and that's exciting. That is what I enjoy about MMA, is finding out the drama, the dynamics behind a fight. What makes this fight great? Why do I want to watch it? And I bring that to you guys, and that's really what the Cage Nation TV and the MMA Rundown were really built on. And that, my friends, is the Cameron Perspective this week, that Bellator is becoming number 2, and we're getting some great quality fights out of it. You okay, big guy?
I'm better now. I'm fine.
Okay.
Had a good cry, and we'll be all right.
Fair enough.
All right, that's going to do it for Cage Nation TV. Before we go, we do want to mention we've still got 1 week left for you. Yes, you out there, be listening to me right now. Head over to Twitter. become a fan of Cage Nation TV on Twitter.
They don't even need to follow us, really. They just need to put the phrase that pays right here. All you gotta do is tweet it.
And if we select you, you are going to win an autographed photo. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to have water in the set. That's impressive. Screw it, I'm drinking. You, my friends, are going to win yourself an autographed photo of Jessica Evil Eye.
I read somewhere in someone's rankings, and you guys all know how I feel about rankings, that they really don't matter. But I've read somewhere that someone has Jessica Eye ranked as #1 in the women's strawweight division. Which, you know, she's beaten some huge names. So by tweeting this phrase right here, you guys got a chance to really own a piece of Jessica Eye, really kind of declaring that she's a citizen of the Cage Nation. And that, my friends, is huge.
Now, we know you guys have been asking for that interview. Unfortunately, due to some technical issues, the interview was lost.
Yeah.
It's gone.
It's gone.
But hopefully we'll get to talk to her really, really soon. She might be at Gladiators of the Cage, the next event in September.
If anything else, we'll be trying to get on the phone with her, because we're getting pretty good at that, getting on the phone with her.
We've gotten damn good at getting on the horn with people and talking.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, okay, like us on Facebook.
Yep.
Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to this video.
Yes.
Subscribe to the channel.
Is it here that they do, or is it over there?
We look kind of silly doing this.
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway,
we as a Cage Nation, we are a unified people. We are MMA fans who said, you know what? We want our news. We want to talk about our own local fights, and we as a nation have really done that, and we've succeeded very well. That's why we're at 10 episodes right now.
And you want to hear two guys just ramble on, and maybe your opinions differ, but you know, we can all agree that, you know, we at least have an opinion, and we love MMA.
That's the beautiful thing. Albert Cameron has I don't have any problem with someone telling me that I'm wrong. I mean, as long as you can back it up with good evidence and not being like, you're stupid, Albert, you're stupid, you're wrong. As long as you're not doing that, I don't care. As long as you can bring me solid evidence as to why I'm wrong, I will listen to you, because that is the beauty of the free exchange of information. So, you know, like, if you don't agree with what I say, shoot me an email. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. And that, my friends, is why the Cage Nation is a democracy.
It is?
No, it's a dictatorship. I rule everything.
I was gonna say,
I own you.
No, you don't.
I don't. But
It's a joint dictatorship.
Ladies and gentlemen, next week, Cage Nation TV. I have no idea what's coming up, but it's going to be great.
Neither do I. We'll see you next week. I salute you.
Let's go.